kid doesn't scream at us. So now we are live. Hey, Rando Kid, I hit the button. Are you proud of me? Hit the button. Now Joe is just finishing up some cable swaps, which again, to your credit, man. I'll save it for the show. We'll save it for the show. I'll open up with it. But alacrity, man. People are waiting. People are waiting. They're standing by. They're starting to chant our names. It's time to go out.
Daddy-O's! That's what they're saying?
We have to do it together. What's wrong with you?
My bad.
Marker. I'm going to count 3, 2, 1. You ready? 3,
all right.
2, 1.
Daddy-O's!
This is Wise and Nerdy, a show where nerding out is cool and solving the problems of the world is a way of life.
Oh, look who responded to the new call. Oh, Kurtula. We screamed out Daddy-O's, and he shows up. So before we get back to that, I want to give some props to Joe. Joe, you've been doing podcasting now for almost 10 years.
Yeah, it'll be 10 years in October.
And so where you came from, we've told the stories, you're not going to drag that out, but where you came from and everything else, and then coming up through Digital Media Track at DragonCon, 2 weeks in a row, you've had some last-minute audio issues, and tonight we had 3 minutes alive, and you only went 30 minutes into the live show, swapping out a cable. Like, that quick, man, and solved the problem. Kudos for you for learning some skills along the way.
Yeah, you gotta just do what you gotta do, right? The show must go on.
And kudos for Kurt taking his Alzheimer's medication, so he remembered how to get back to you. We appreciate that too, bud.
Yeah, I like to give myself kudos for making it back from the South in one piece.
You're welcome. You thought you were going to slide in. It's like, oh, no, it's so easy. No, we're going to make it. See, the goal was to make you have to stop here so you would actually show up. But, you gave me the middle finger and kept on going.
Yeah, so literally on Sunday, when we were driving back, we were racing the storm.
Tuesday.
No. All up the east coast from where we had stopped, which was Virginia, when we drove up from Florida.
To South, but whatever.
Well, no, but on the way down, we got hit hard in North Carolina.
Interesting.
Yeah, but on the way back, there was a snowstorm coming up the East Coast that we just happened to be about an hour ahead of, and we just had to keep moving. So, and literally an hour after I got back to New Hampshire, it started snowing.
Just keep swimming.
Exactly. So, but yeah, no, it was a great vacation.
We're going to go more into it on the nerding out. But yeah, when I was in Chattanooga this weekend, we got the flurries, if you will, there. And we're debating on whether or not we should just bolt. And no, let's go drink instead.
Yep. And flurries are enough to cancel school. Actually, even this past week, at least one of the days, our electric company for the city asked the schools to close because they were worried about the strain that the cold weather would put on the system. So the schools said, okay, we'll use an extra day because it's cold. No snow, just cold.
Just cold.
And it wasn't even in the negatives. It was just it got down to single digits one night.
In the South is a negative, sir. Come on.
So when I lived in Idaho, they had a very firm, if it got to negative 20 is when they canceled school for it being too cold, because they didn't want to risk kids being out in that for too long, because if you're in negative 20 for more than 10 minutes, exposed skin could get frostbite. for frostbite.
So you do know if you go up to -15, it only is like 15, 20 minutes. That's not good rationale.
But that was the rationale for Idaho. And that was their cutoff. If it was -20, they would cancel school.
So by the way, intro tonight by Devo. Devocite. We've got a bunch of people, Kurt, have called in and left little intros for us, including one old man who remembered how to get home. Listen to your new intro. It'll be the only time you'll ever hear it.
This is Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom.
And that's the last time we'll ever play on the show. I got it, man. It's there. And so before we get to the question of the week, in Georgia, I've lived here most of my life. This is the most winter we've ever had. We got 3 inches at my house. We got 3 inches of snow last week. It took 2 days to really clear it out. This week, we got another inch of snow. I'm like, it's never done more than like a ½ inch of dusting, and then the next day everything's fine. And yeah, it was interesting. And you can laugh all you want, Kurt, but you just told a story about how you tucked tail and ran all the way up the coast. I don't even.
I can tell you exactly why. Is because you guys don't know how to deal with snow.
Because we don't have to, and you guys can.
What year is this?
Dragon Con.
I mean, come on, everybody's got the internet.
No,
What's that?
You can YouTube how to handle snow.
I know how to drive in snow, but my tires are not equipped for snow at all, and the entrance to my subdivision is very steep. So yeah, I just hunker down and stay.
And I'd still work from home, just like
do you know how many years I bought snow tires for my car?
It's where you live.
Yes.
0.
It's mandatory. Air conditioning is not mandatory where you live, but snow tires should be.
Nah, it's not. And you know why? Because we know how to drive in the snow. And I was only half kidding when I said
in the South.
All you have to do is YouTube how to drive in snow.
All right, look, I can't deal with this. It was nice having you gone for 3 weeks.
I used to love going to an empty parking lot and spinning donuts and stuff when I was
that's
when
fun.
I was younger.
Hey, look, the question of the week is brought to you by Sagamore Cask Strength Rye, 112 proof. I'll let you know.
And you probably mispronounced that because that's on brand for you.
I mean, it's hard to mispronounce Sagamore. What, Sagamore? Is it Sagamore? Because I'm not saying it that way, because I know how English works.
Is it a Pokemon or a brand of alcohol?
Oh, you just gave me an idea for Fandom Face Off, where it's like you had to catch them all, Pokemon or whatever, and it'd be cool. Yeah, all right. So, question of the week, Joe. If you were to introduce someone to James Bond, what movie would you start with?
I would definitely start with my favorite, which is 007 GoldenEye. So, but okay. I'm sure if my dad were to pick, it would be one of the Sean Connery ones. Really, it's probably whichever one you grew up with, but maybe not. Maybe you are more into 007 than I am and have a more nuanced answer. Okay,
there's no such thing as a nuanced answer with 007. It's just the most put on repeat rinse. In fact, if I were to tell you where to start with 007, I say just skip and go to Indiana Jones. It's better. You want to do who saves the world, Indiana Jones. What about you, Carl? It sounds like I stepped on some buttons there.
No. It's actually, my answer might surprise you. I think if I'm recommending to someone new, I start with Daniel Craig. I start with Casino Royale. Okay. Well, and there's a reason for that. No. Well, no, there's a reason for that. Because Casino Royale it starts a storyline that carries over the next 2 movies. And so it's a true trilogy. You get sucked into the James Bond world and everything. And look, Casino Royale was good. Quantum of Solace and Skyfall were better. And
Skyfall has one of the best songs for it.
It does. But I think that it brings them into that world in a more modern storytelling way. And much like a lot of, like, I even do this where I'll read or I'll experience some media about something, and if it's good enough, I'm gonna go look up the older stuff and go re-experience the older stuff.
Well, and I think Daniel Craig's 007 has more of a character arc than a lot of the other.
Yeah,
because there's certain characters that really don't change in storytelling. Like Sherlock Holmes is one of them. He doesn't, in most versions of him, he doesn't really change the character. And
Yeah.
007, to a certain extent, a lot of the different versions don't really have much of a character arc, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you. I get stuck sometimes on is James Bond 007 the title or the person?
It's
Right,
supposed
which is
to be the title,
but is it? Because
well, like he's like Agent M can be swapped out,
Right.
Well, and
Q.
007 is definitely, that specific moniker is definitely a title, but what about the James Bond portion of it?
Right. And so so over the years I've flip-flopped over, it's a title that they use, and it doesn't matter what their real name is once they take that title.
Well, I think I honestly, well, I don't think in the movie world James Bond's a title, but I do think in the real world James Bond's a title. So every new actor just has a new take on it.
Well, no, so I guess where I'm going with that is just like we see, look, let's flip it to Star Trek, right? Where we see Captain Kirk being played by different characters depending on the media.
Yeah, and they made it the universe, whatever.
Right. But so and part of my argument for the Marvel movies has been, you don't have to kill off Tony Stark, you just need to recast him. Because even in the comic books, the way a person looks changes based on the artist. And so the actor is the artist in this case. And so the way they look, I could forgive that, because in comics, nobody is truly dead.
Well, especially when you just hop over to a universe that's nearly identical, except for their Canadian bacon was always called ham.
Right. and I mean, and Marvel completely opened that up to happen, right? I mean, and even if Scarlett Johansson shows up as Black Widow, nobody should be surprised, because What If made that happen.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So,
and it's,
but they will be surprised because they didn't watch it.
I find it pretty funny that we're talking about 007, because my kids actually this past week started playing GoldenEye on the Nintendo Switch Online service. And so they've been playing that lately, and their first foray into multiplayer was my 5-year-old versus my 12-year-old, and the 5-year-old won 5-0.
wow.
Beat granted, he had a bit of a health boost handicap, but still 5-0 against the 12-year-old is pretty impressive for a 5-year-old.
Sounds like he doesn't need a handicap.
Right.
I will say, just because Sean Connery had said he'd never play James Bond again, and they had to come back, so they titled it "Never Say Never." That's my probably my favorite. But you're right, Joe. I don't remember what my first James Bond was, because my dad was big into it. So by the time he started showing it to me, we're in the Bronson, not Bronson Pin show. That'd be hilarious. But Bronson, because that'd be different. Oh my God, what was he did one James Bond? Remington Steele.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Joe, do you know? You're just laughing at Bronson Pinchot as James Bond.
Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan.
Thank you. Oh my God. So I was in that. So I watched all the different ones. But Sean Connery just landed for me, and I really liked that one.
He was great.
And I think it was it Moonraker that had the Jaws in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that one I like just because Jaws. He was the cool, and the hat that cut people's heads off and stuff. That was awesome. But yeah, so
No, Odd Job.
Odd job.
Odd Job.
Odd Job.
I just, but even with a little
Job
bit of this
done.
nostalgia, I was just never a real fan of James Bond. It just didn't hit for me. And then when we got into the newest series, it was all right, but it just kind of felt like I don't know. Like it was obviously the new Sherlock Holmes. The new Sherlock Holmes I really got into, even though I did like the original stuff I'd seen from PBS and BBC and all that other stuff when I was growing up. This just went the other way. And hello, Michael. Welcome on.
That is Civilian. If you were wondering.
He needs to stop changing names. Be civilian. Be civilian. That's right. Muirpack. Go to Etsy.com/Muirpack today to get some awesome stickers because there's still some real awesome stickers up there. All right. Roll some dice. That's where we're at. I had to figure out
Well, that's unanimous there.
What are you nerding out about now?
I don't know, man. You double botched. I don't know if we should even carry on with the show right now. So, all right. You know what, Kurt? We haven't got to hear from you in a while. First off,
Oh, wait. Hold on. Sorry. I am a fool. We can't go on to nerding out about just yet because we have Devocite answered the James Bond question.
Oh,
but this whole "I'm a fool" thing, I don't know what to do with that. That was weird, right, Kurt?
yeah, a little strange.
What a jerk.
Oh. Welcome to the VO by Kurt show.
Yeah, it also doesn't record very often. So play your voicey things.
Okay.
As for the question of the week, James Bond film, I think my favorite was Goldfinger. From Russia with Love, all the Sean Connery, he's just a man's man, isn't he? It just really was the James Bond era. I mean, I always liked all the other James Bond, but those are the ones I always go back to as that's James Bond for me.
Okay, I've watched Austin Powers so much I forgot that Goldmember was a spoof of Goldfinger. Like, no, dude, that's Austin Powers. What are you talking about, John?
I knew exactly when I saw that look on your face what you were thinking.
Yep.
To be honest, I want to revamp my answer. If I'm going to tell you where to start with James Bond, it's going to be with Austin Powers. All right.
All right, now back to
What are you nerding about?
Oh, that's the only one? You stopped all of that. You hit the brakes so hard we slid into a ditch.
Yeah.
Just for John. All right, fine.
That's right.
So, Kurt,
Yeah.
are we good? Can we carry on, producer Joe? Good? Okay.
Yes, my
Kurt,
wayward son.
carry on. All right, I'm Dean. So, Kurt, I
Yes.
sent you a TikTok that you said, oh, not yet, but soon. But I think it was Ender or Creality. Creality has a 3D scanner that you can scan whatever and then make 3D prints out of it.
Yep.
How soon do you think we'll see that in studio, Kurt?
It'll be a while. It'll be a while because there's just a lot of stuff I've got to accomplish before I start doing that, and there's a lot that you don't need it for. So, but because you really it's really meant to scan things that are hard to render, right? Like,
yeah,
if I wanted to do and here's the thing: like, people think about people, for example. But I can already take a 2D picture of my head and make a bust out of it with just software.
And you sent me the Hulk for Christmas instead of my own head? Come on, man.
Look, man,
I thought you were going to ask for Kurt's head.
Yeah, you have to grow into the head.
Can I get a little spikes whenever Kurt's not here? I put his head on a spike, gold.
Yeah, something like that. So,
never mind.
Yeah, it's all right.
Lost it.
So, I may have shown you guys this before, but this is a bust. Again, the lighting,
the baby,
yeah,
of my grandkid, but that's from a 2D picture.
Okay,
I mean, and they rendered it in 3D. I mean, and it was remarkable.
Well, so they've been doing stuff like that with those laser etched crystal things as well.
Right.
So I'm not surprised that it would find its way into the 3D printing space as well.
Right. But I think the scanners will be really good at some point.
All right.
Yeah.
Little side note for the podcast. The full run through post is Kurt not nerding about his 5 million copies of Balatro, which takes me on a tangent. I got a picture I can send you, Kurt. There was this dude on TikTok playing it live. Looks like the Wish version of Phil. I'm like, I took a screenshot immediately, like, Phil, when did you start playing Balatro? He's like, and he pointed out, oh, he's even got the Yoshi in the background and stuff.
Yeah.
Craziness. But no, Kurt is now onto 3D printing the cards from Balatro. So there's that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Balatro is always running on my computer. And on my phone.
Yes, it is.
And on my tablet. And on my Switch.
So would you, I imagine you're going to say yes. Would you recommend, going back to 3D printing, the printer, because Joe, we're looking at getting Joe a new printer. Because the one we have is just worn out and just meh anymore. Would you recommend him going with the 4 filament printer, or should he start a little more economical?
I mean, so here's the thing. It really depends on A, budget, and B, how much multicolor stuff do you want to do? And because I would still recommend Bamboo Labs A1 combo, which is the one that comes with the 4 color changer, but it's a fast printer. It just works. It's got all the auto bed leveling and everything. Their slicer is great. I made some gifts over the Christmas break for some buddies of mine, and one of those gifts was Marvel coasters.
Nice.
So I got that.
Marvel coasters. They look really good.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah. So let's see. Do I have another one over here? No. Yeah. There we go. Also a.
It's blurred out like
Thor.
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 I got you.
Yep. So, but I'm currently in the middle of assembling, because I just finished printing it out today. A Yosemite Sam model, which
noise.
If this gives you any indication,
biscuits are burning.
Yep, this is the size of his hat.
Oh, he's gonna be big.
He's gonna be a big one. Yeah. What's that?
Put it next to your face. What is that? Three quarters the size of your face? That's big.
It's big. It's a big one. So it'll probably stand a foot tall or so, because the hat is pretty big compared to his face. But yeah. So I'm just experimenting, plus printing things out to try to start doing some craft shows in the spring.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. You tease this out at Chattacon, which we'll talk about in a second. Carry on, sir.
Yeah, so I'm nerding out about my happy marriage. that's exactly the look I was expecting to get.
What? I guarantee you, Curtis, is an anime. I guarantee you. But the way he said it at Chattacon, here's the context of how he said it at Chattacon. Is I don't remember if it's the night we went to dinner or the night after that, but basically. We were at dinner and my wife was there, and she said something. Because he looks at me with that "I'm about to do something" look. I'm like, okay, I know exactly what you're about to do. He goes, well, at least my wife shows up for the shows or something, and he cracked himself up with that. So then later he's like, yeah, I'm gonna nerd about my happy marriage. He's like, oh, you're just gonna tell a story about how your wife shows up, okay? But then now I figured it out with the look at his face, Kurt. Don't you think? This is anime.
It's got to be an anime. It's got to be an anime.
Except it's going to be about 2 robots in outer space finding each other and never actually getting married.
Oh, I disagree. I think it's going to be about a Shaolin monk who has entered into an illicit relationship with a demon, and over time has come to marry them, and all the trials and tribulations that happen during that.
Done. Even though it's anime, done in a 90s sitcom style.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, the mom is the woman. So I don't know.
Are you just talking about WandaVision? What?
That would have been better if it was an anime. It was good. I liked it, but wouldn't it have been better as an anime? Anyway, all right, Joe. Kelsey has already spoiled it.
It's true.
Anime.
It is. My wife watched watched the first two seasons through, or the first one season through twice before I picked it up, and so she watched it a third time when I watched it my first time, and it's a lot of fun. So it's a world where people can have supernatural gifts. And depending on how strong you are, you might get recruited into this police/military force that protects against these creatures called grotesqueries, which you find out later, and it's not really all that important. It's not a huge spoiler, but you find out later that grotesqueries form from the corpses of dead gift users. And so
you're saying that's how you get gifts in Pokemon Go from me?
Yeah.
Got it.
But the main character is this woman who, her mom is gone. Her stepmom treats her like trash. It's almost got some Cinderella vibes in there. And
it's very pastel colored.
Yeah, the animation is gorgeous. And her dad basically disowns her, and she has an arranged. Her dad arranges a marriage to this guy who has had several fiancés in the past, but none have made it past a couple of days before running away because he's got a very fierce personality and he's very strict. And like one of the first things that he tells her is, "You will obey every command I give you. If I tell you to die, you die." Like that's one of the first things he tells her.
Nice guy.
Yeah, but
so it is a Shaolin monk meets a demon. Got it.
That's kind of where I was going.
Right.
And so it's the second season is currently airing. It's only 2 or 3 episodes in. The first season's not super long. I want to say it was 12 or 13 episodes. But yeah, no, I'm really digging it. The art style, like I said, is amazing, and I'm really liking the interactions between the characters, because there is some action, but the main bit of the focus is the interaction between the characters. And yeah, I'm liking it quite a bit. So,
all right. So I am nerding out about Chattacon, just because I love talking about conferences after we get back. But it is a fun local con for Chattanooga, and it was so good. I did, I think, 7 panels. I don't know if I'm going to take the game show back, Joe. I'm not sure if I should take it back and just care to build that word of mouth on it, because it was tough.
Yeah,
to the 5 people in the room.
Yeah, so your game show works a lot better to a larger crowd. And so playing with only a handful of people can be a bit rough. I think you made the best of it, though, and I think I think the audience had fun with it, especially Tom, who he started off in last because he showed up halfway through and ended up, I think, second place. So, but yeah, no, it went over well. Southern Fried Gaming, I think it went over really, really well because it was a packed room. But yeah, and maybe, like you said, you were talking about maybe rebranding it, renaming it, and seeing if you could drum up some more interest.
Write a new description for it this year.
Yeah,
and do that, because I think, especially like a little. I don't want to call it little, but compared to DragonCon, everything's little, right? But that's why I call it local, where there's probably 500 to 1,000 people there or whatever. it just feels smaller when you have 4 panels going on at once in that kind of con. And so love it. This is our second year going. We had a blast. The live show went well for us.
Yep.
Again.
We had 3 people return this year that were there last year.
Yeah.
Cool.
And one of them immediately afterward whipped out his phone and subscribed to us on YouTube.
Yep.
So,
and
yeah.
Spotify, I think they did both.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I'm working on that. But I got to interview some good people. I got to be on some panels with some new people, and I met the director. Well, she is the content director, I think, for Multiverse. Vanessa was on a panel with. That was the one where I gauged my panels by where you and Shane were sitting, and I think that was one where I was sitting in the back left. But I talked to her, and I'm probably not only going to get to do some panels at Multiverse this year, which has been difficult getting in. They have a learn section where you can do a 15, 30-minute or 45-minute presentation, like a scientific presentation. But they say it's in the vein of a scientific presentation. They call it call for papers.
More of a dissertation type thing.
Yeah. And our teaching, basically, almost like TED Talk, if you will, it sounds like, because it can be on fandom and stuff. So I am pitching intro to podcasting, because I've been wanting to build that workshop up, because I got inspired this year. I've been trying to figure out, how do I get paid to do these cons? One is obviously selling something, and you guys have both seen me working on the owl pen. Currently, everybody, I know we're a little behind on getting it done, but we actually have a new logo being drawn up right now. We got input from John, so the 4 of us kind of settled on 3 different styles that are all similar for the new logo through AI. And then now it's in an artist's hands who has done the art. Audie Norman is his name. He's done the art for Those Were the Days and Wait You Haven't Seen and many other shows. So we all liked his style, his variety of style, and he's working on that right now. And, spoiler alert, we're going to owls. So, because ours are but I've been working on and one of our logo manifestations, each of us got our own owl figurine, and I really just fell in love with mine. So I'm developing it into an enamel pin so I can sell it, basically. But then the other thing that cons are really great for is marketing yourself. And as I'm on panel after panel talking about, here's how you do this thing in podcasting, here's how you do that thing, I couldn't help but go, and if you go to my Patreon, you'll get blah, blah, blah. Or if you sign up here, I can work with you on helping you through it for, we'll negotiate a rate or whatever. And that's when I was like, okay, I've got to start really, I made some notes about make this video, like how to set up Patreon, make this video, how you do this, how you do it, just to start building that reputation out. But it was a lot of fun. Our Chinese dinner wasn't what it was supposed to be, so that was okay. But I will say, I'm big on trying new restaurants and food, and I like it a little bit on the higher end. But right down the street, Joe, right down, I think it's Market Street, there's a place called, I had it earlier, I tried, what's tequila? Agave and rye is what it's called. And you'd think it's leading with alcohol. And it's not. I mean, they have a lot of alcohol there, but it is more restaurant than that. Handcrafted gourmet tacos. And you can look them up on YouTube and TikTok and see. But it was phenomenal. I got they even did these shrimp crab rangoons with special sauce and their own house fried rice. That was really good. We did.
So is this some kind of fusion place? Because you're talking tacos and then you're talking crab rangoon and.
Oh wait! I'm going deeper, bud. I'm going deeper. Just wait for it. Yes, it's a little bit of a fusion place. It's all natural ingredient or fresh ingredients. I mean, it has a great vibe to it, and it's all rock and roll themed. So, Biggie Smalls is one of the icons on the menu. They've got Prince on the wall, like the artist formerly known as Prince. They've got pictures of all different people painted out. It's a really cool place. But the taco, so we of course got the chips and cheese dip, and the chips are house made, fresh to order. We actually took an extra bag home, and 3 days later, they're still the best tortilla chips we've ever had. And they're huge. It's like they cut half a small tortilla up, and that's the chip. They didn't so good. But the tacos, so I got a flight of tacos. You can order anything off their menu. Any 3 is a flight, and it's $13. And they're all double wrapped, so you get a little bit of a handmade corn tortilla with a little bit of a soft taco to go around to help hold it. I ended up getting duck confit taco.
Ooh.
Okay.
I forget the name of it, but it was a Korean chicken taco. And then I ordered the kangaroo taco, but they're out of kangaroo meat. Not kidding. And so, unfortunately, I went with the is a buttery lobster taco with mac and cheese and mushrooms. I know, but it was good. It worked. It actually
Well,
worked.
so again, I'm kind of a lobster snob. So
I don't do lobster very often. So I think it's honestly funny enough because I love seafood. I think lobster tastes fishy most cases. Now, I'll be honest, I've never had fresh New England lobster.
yeah,
Just
it does make a difference. It does make a
I'm
difference.
sure.
But yeah.
I'm sure. Like, I'm talking about like the red lobsters or even I could have told you to try to tell you, but there's a seafood place that started up in Rhode Island somewhere. Fresh seafood or
Long John Silver's.
No. I don't remember what it's called.
No, Legal Seafood.
Legal, thank you. Legal seafood. I knew,
Which
I
is
knew
a pretty
if I
good
said
place.
something,
It's pretty
yeah.
good. It's
It
pretty
is.
good. Yeah.
It is. I didn't like their lobster. It just didn't hit for me.
Yeah,
But it's
okay.
also in Atlanta or somewhere else. So, it wasn't quite up north. I was in, and I don't like, because of those bad experiences with lobster, I was in Boston and my wife tried to get me to buy a lobster roll in Boston, but it was like $27. I'm like, what if I don't like it? Because I haven't had great experiences with lobster so far, and I still get grief today for not buying a lobster roll. So I'll make this promise: if I ever make it to New Hampshire or if I'm with Kurt in New England somewhere,
I will take you.
We will buy.
I will
lobster
take.
rolls.
I will take you to places where we can get good quality
Okay.
lobster roll. Yeah.
But I will definitely in Chattanooga, however they got there, wherever they got it from, however they did, they do say they like fresh ingredients. That lobster was very tasty on the taco.
good.
It's just a little piece of meat on there, but it's so good. And then, Joe, I am very disappointed in you. I'm so disappointed in you. How did you not tell me there's a Little Debbie bakery attached to the Little Debbie factory in Chattanooga? Yeah, Kurt.
Yeah, there is.
So on our anniversary, we made this an anniversary trip for us, and we tend to go to $100 dinners, right? It's our time to treat ourselves when we're out, right?
Treat yourself.
Everything we did, even with tip, everything we did was like $70 or whatever, and we planned for it. That's our entertainment. So here's what Erin did on this trip: she slept in the hotel room while I did panels, and then we went out to eat at night. That's what, because that's all she wanted to catch up on sleep and then have some good food. So that's all we do for entertainment. We went to Little Debbie. All right. So on Sunday, did I send you that picture?
Yes, you did.
Wait for it, Kurt.
Is that basket full?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, it is.
By the way, they're a little half basket, but yes. So, and we got 2 baskets. Anyway,
And so what did I respond with?
I don't remember. I was drunk at the time.
Diabetes intensifies.
Yes. So, why was I drunk at the time in the middle of the day?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's Chattanooga whiskey. Everything we did was right there in the downtown Chattanooga area. Lots of great stuff to explore there. And we had a tour and a tasting of the Chattanooga whiskey, and they are very $18 a person. Tour was cool, educational. I mean, I really had fun. Got to see where they store the barrels and learn some things about the distillery and the distillation of whiskey. And then we go to the tasting, and their flight for the tasting is 6 shots, and then they have 2 other shots that don't fit on the flight that if you want them, you can request. One of them I wasn't going to request is their silver, which has been aged an hour. I'm not interested in that.
Aged an hour?
Yeah, so it can barely be called a whiskey. It's just a thing. And some people liked it. It's whatever. And where we're at was in the experimental distillery, where their full distillery was across town. So we got the experimental one that they had just worked on. Didn't like it either, but I liked a bunch of the other ones. My wife doesn't drink, so I had a minimum of 12 shots of whiskey for lunch on Sunday.
Is that the place at the corner of Martin Luther King and Riverside? Riverside Drive? Okay, there's a whiskey place there, so I was just wondering.
There's actually a couple in Chattanooga that you can tour and all that, but this was right downtown across from Nick and Norman's, which is Norman Reedus's restaurant, which I didn't realize till we went in to eat, and I saw his picture, and I'm all like, Why is this picture all over the wall? Does he have is this his restaurant? The waitress is like, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good food. It was fantastic. And it is directly across the street from that and Stir. Stir and Nick and Norman's are attached, basically. Bus station. The big bus depot. Downtown.
Okay. The choo-choo?
So we played a game, Kurt, called How Well Do You Know Your City? And he goes, I don't. So there's
I don't. I mean, I used to work downtown, but really I just drove the same path every time. It's not like I went exploring.
Yeah, well,
So.
Obviously, because I found I Go Tokyo, which you need to take your family to, and you know that was there. I found Nick and Norman's and all. Anyway, doesn't matter. So that's why I was drunk on this afternoon, because I drank all of my shots and all my wife's shots, and then we went across town to Little Debbie and spent $161 on clearance stuff. Nothing was more than $4, except for like a T-shirt. We got a T-shirt, and I got a little old-fashioned camping mug. I got Tyra some stuff, but the box goods, everything's half price or less than the store shelves. And it was with our kids, we just went a little nuts and brought 3 cardboard boxes of pack full of this stuff home, and I've hidden 2 of those boxes away so they don't get destroyed immediately. So
did they
shame
have
on you, Joe?
did they have any fresh stuff as well?
Be more clear.
Well, you said you picked up a bunch of day old stuff.
No. It's all discounted. It wasn't actually day old. You know, it was still in
okay.
day.
All right.
Now, I think we did pick up, like, there's a manager special wall. That's all clearance for like $1. I think that stuff was right on date or just after. So we got some of that. But no, everything else is just because they make it right there. And they don't have to ship it or anything.
Right.
So you're talking about fresh, like you would get off the shelf in a box, Little Debbie's, half price.
Yeah. Interesting. And probably everything that they make is available.
Oh, stuff I never even heard of.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I came home with a big box of Little Debbie pecan pies, unicorn cakes. I mean, all kind of stuff we didn't know existed.
Yeah.
We definitely brought home. And Two Dorks, Steven says, hey, look, Kurt's back. And then I started talking about Little Debbie, and he goes, well, looks like I'm heading Chattanooga.
Yep.
And he says his buddy owns a place called the Bitter Alibi. Yeah, okay. You know what, Steven? You tell me when you're heading over there, because it's about the same drive for us. He's out in North Carolina, and I'm down in Georgia. I'll meet you up there, sir, and we'll go hit the town, man. It'll be a blast. So yeah, all that was Chattacon was a lot of fun. I look forward to doing it again next year, and we got to spend some great time with our buddy Bob.
Bob. I started reading his book. I'm only about 20 pages in, though.
So you're not going to read the one you bought from Ben Meeks and just slight him down. Gotcha.
I bought a second one from him this past weekend.
Bought and read are 2 different things, sir.
You're not wrong, but I was specifically told that they were age appropriate for kids. And so once I'm done with the current series that I'm reading with my kids, we're going to read Ben's book, Paxor. And I actually talked to him about coming on to the show once he's ready to release Paxor 3 so that he can announce it. We can talk about his book and whatnot. So
cool.
Just FYI.
Speaking of,
roll that dice.
Doubles again.
Stay tuned for this commercial break.
wow, Kurt, you come back and send us right on break. Okay, sure.
Yep.
We'll do that.
Look, I had a long week. I'm tired.
All right, everybody. Go over to patreon.com/wise_n_nerdy and join our cool parliament of papas and come hang out with us. It's amazing. It's fun. And you can go to linktree/wise_n_nerdy. It's a mouthful. Why did we put underscores in that? I don't know. That was all me. I still don't know why Joe let me do that. So dumb.
Because I'm evil, of course.
Check us out. You can join our Discord. Follow the clips that Joe puts up on YouTube. And, of course, tune into our show every Thursday night at 8:30. I don't remember what show I was doing. Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. All right, let's check out some awesome, some fun music. All right, I do like some good EDM. I like some good dubstep, and I love when people mash up known songs, especially kids songs, with it. And I've been watching these guys on TikTok do Little Einsteins, going on a trip in my favorite rocket ship, and then it's like, it just drops in. It's so much fun, so much fun. All right, Joe, we got some business to handle before we move on with the show. What do we got to talk about?
Yeah, so on the February 13th recording, the question of the week will be, what scene hits you hard no matter how many times you've watched it?
Ooh. Yeah. So, and you're not specifying TV or movie?
I am not.
Oh.
Yeah,
I have feelings. I have feelings.
Yeah, but that's okay because
my wedding video, tears, man, just tears.
Charles doesn't have feelings, so it'll balance itself out.
I actually had a suggestion for Charles, but I don't want to mention it right here. This will be behind the curtain.
All right. Hey, Steven says, man, I have a lot of those. Kelsey says, I've got a good one. Go to Speak Pipe. Actually,
yes.
You know what? We're going to make it easy for you. Forget going to Speak Pipe. wiseandnerdy.com/calldad and leave your answer to this question and title it February 13th answer, or, something like that. When it's a short question, people put the question in the title, but that's kind of a longer question. But yeah, come on, get out here, come play. And you know what? Go tell your friends this is the best show you've ever been a part of. You love that we know your name. It's like Cheers the Return, where we're like, hey, Kurt, and we pop your favorite beer in front of you. So let's do that.
Yeah, just title it, What Makes My Eyes Squirt?
And I was listening to Those Were the Days today, and Steven was not aware of the Claymation Christmas, Kurt. Yeah, I didn't even have to explain what it was. Your
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I know, right? He loves it. He loves it now.
It's great. It's great. Yeah.
It's the most. And I have somewhere in all of my storage the actual
original
California raisin figurines that you could get from Hardee's when it came out. So thanks for the trip down memory lane, Steven. Go check out Those Were the Days. Steven and some other 3 people that you've never heard of. But all right, roll some dice.
Alrighty.
Tell Jojo a story.
Joe, this is all you, buddy.
Oh, yes. I forgot I put this one in there. So this story is about my first time going to Six Flags. My uncle...
Over which state?
In Delaware.
Okay.
So, I was living in Pennsylvania at the time. My uncle lived in Delaware. And so he got us season pass tickets to Six Flags for... me, 2 of my siblings, his son, and himself. And so we go.
Okay, quick question. Is that because your older siblings were grown and gone, or he just didn't like them?
grown and gone. They were out of the house. Plus, his son was closer in age to the younger 3 than the older 3. But yeah, so we go. The very first ride that we go on is one that it shoots you straight down and then kind of levels out and then you get out. Like, that's the whole ride. Me being an idiotic teenager and no one telling me otherwise, I was looking down when they pulled the switch. And I ended up getting whiplash. My head came straight back. And so for the rest of the day, my head was cocked to the side like this because
it's not funny.
It hurt real bad to move my neck.
Oh, no, dude.
But I'm going to guess that you were idiotic enough to keep riding rides.
Well, yeah, because that was the first ride of the day. And so
was it called Free Fall at the time?
I don't know, maybe.
Back in the 80s and 90s, it was called free fall.
So we're going around. I'm getting a progressively worse headache as we're going, and yeah, that probably is my first ever migraine by the end of the day.
It's called CTE, buddy.
Yeah,
CTE.
yeah. I was just gonna say that wasn't a migraine. You had brain damage.
It's called coup contra coup, where it goes forward and your brain goes bonk on the front of the head. You go back, it hits the back of the head. You rattled your bell.
Yeah,
rang your bell.
And my neck was messed up for the next week before I could really have full range of motion, if not longer. Like the next few days, I basically stayed in bed to avoid moving my neck as much as possible. And my headache got so bad that I was closing my eyes whenever I wasn't walking, and so I went on the Medusa. It's a roller coaster, one where your feet dangle. I fell asleep on the Medusa.
Oh
You
no!
did not fall asleep.
Oh no!
You passed out from head injury.
and then
Now your life is starting to make more sense to me. All right.
You suppose we should tell him that he probably still has brain injuries?
No, yeah, I think Kelsey already knows.
Wow. And then on the way home, I was just laying in the back in the fetal position. I was super nauseous. No, I was super nauseous, but I didn't end up vomiting.
Yeah, that's worse.
And yeah, no, it was not a great experience in general. It sucked.
I can't tell a story like that at all, Kurt. I mean, I thought it was gonna be like, oh, I could tell you bad stories of where I got at a certain point in my life, and it's post gallbladder removal. I don't think that really has anything to do with it. But I used to be able to eat roller coasters for lunch, but now I get on one, I get nauseous, and then if I get on one right after that, I throw up. You know, it's and it never did that before.
Yeah,
but that's nothing compared to traumatic brain injury and a concussion going on.
Yeah, I can't beat that. Yeah, and I still love roller coasters. Yeah, and I hope the rest of your life is uneventful.
Well, I do periodically get migraines nowadays, and my neck has definitely not been the same ever since.
That stuff doesn't just go away magically. There's a reason why football players have to retire.
The things we didn't know, you know.
Right.
You said you were what, 8, 9?
I was a teenager. I was 14, probably 15.
90s, early 2000s.
That's like 21
early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah. I thought I was gonna say, and my neck kind of stayed to the side for the next 40 years. You know.
Yes,
I'm like that guy from Happy Gilmore that has the nail sticking out of his head. It's just there permanently.
Well, that definitely is the difference between your generation and Gen X, where if my neck was turned like that after an amusement park ride, my dad probably would have went, okay, come on, let's just go. Rub some dirt on it.
That might have helped.
Maybe
it might have. It would have helped the injury to the brain, but it might have helped some other stuff.
Walk it off. Don't be a wuss.
You know,
rub some dirt on it.
I walked it off.
Look, I was so afraid of getting in trouble as a kid. My whole thing was walk it off. I can survive anything. Yeah. And I was goofing at some youth trip. My dad was always youth pastor, and I got to go on this youth trip, and we're in some hotel room.
Wait, your dad was a pastor?
This case is a youth pastor, butt face. And they
might have to bleep that. I heard that.
For some reason, there was a table in this room, in this hotel room. I don't know. Everybody's going to bed, so I decided to get on the table, and I was going to jump onto the bed from the table, like WWE style.
Yeah.
Except I didn't understand physics yet, so as I went to jump, it flipped the table, and my legs went with it, so I go straight down, right? And it caught me under my ribs. And like, and I couldn't breathe. And everybody just stopped. All the kids stopped and looked at me. And they're like, "We're gonna tell your dad." Like, "No, you're not." And it took like a whole day of me trying to hide it before my parents went. No, actually, I think I went through the whole trip, and then finally got home, and it still hurt. It was hard to breathe. So I finally told them about it after we got home. But yeah, well, I could have fractured a rib, but I wouldn't have known the difference. I was not going to tell them I was jumping off a table at a youth trip that my dad was running, because I was going to get in a lot of trouble for that.
Yep.
So,
Oh, man.
Boy.
What fun/dumb things you do to get hurt?
I mean, when I was a kid, I broke my arm at 8 years old, 10 years old, and 12 years old.
What, were you jumping something?
No, but I was on my bike, and for the first two, and flipped over the handlebars. And then the third one, I was on ice chasing some punk kid and fell backwards, and my wrist hit a rock jutting out of the ice.
Okay.
Ooh.
And that was dislocated and broken, and that was the bad one. And literally after the second time, when I walked home from the bus stop where it happened or whatever, I went home and just straight face said to my parents, "I broke my arm. We got to go to the hospital." Because I knew how it felt. Like I got used to the feeling, which is crazy.
I've experienced this before.
But the worst part is they gave me a little bit of a sedative in the hospital because it was dislocated, the last one.
Yeah.
And I could feel the doctor pop the bone
manipulate.
back in place. No, that's exactly what it was, Joe. It was terrible. It was really painful and really gross. And yeah. I still have a problem when I see broken stuff on film.
Sure. No, I do too.
Yeah.
Now I know with the shoulder, because I've had to put those back in place for patients before, and they do the relief. Is that the same with the wrist?
I don't actually remember because it was still broken on top of that, right? So
broken it is okay.
Yeah. So there was still plenty of pain, and they still had to put it. They had
been manipulating that. They should have done surgery.
Well, look, dude, it was the 80s. What do you want?
It was a different time.
Right.
It was the 1890s. I don't know.
We'll just give you a sedative, and you can walk it off.
Right. So they put the first level of plaster on it, and the doctor took my wrist in both hands and he popped it back into place, and then they finished the plaster.
Oh, that's the worst. This is the most dad talk we could ever have. I was this is a true story. I was running on a homemade slip and slide, but somebody turned the water off, and the back of my hand, the right hand, touched my arm, and I snapped. Sorry, Kurt.
I know what you're talking about. Just bending way too far back.
And I just clean popped the middle finger bone, the whatever.
Metacarpal.
Smart, but I couldn't do it. So Scotch is working. It's good. But yeah, all right. We could probably just compare injuries all night long. But Joe, my God, so that's a complete head injury story there.
Yeah.
And I thought you would just have bad stomach issues at 6 months.
Well, at least we now have it recorded online so that when Joe forgets how to use verbs, we'll know why.
Maybe this is why he uses underscores, because it helps him follow the sentence. Roll some dice.
Oh, man.
Roll that dice. How do I?
So far, so good. No repeats, Joe.
Yeah. So how do I teach my kids to manage failure and disappointment? And traumatic head injury is not the answer.
Kurt, being the beaver cleaver dad, I'd like to know how you taught them failure and disappointment.
I really, and I still to this day strive to do this. Failure is just an opportunity for improvement. And so I try not to be upset about failure as much as I can, but I'm only human. So that still happens sometimes, depending on what the thing is, right? But I literally push, and I do this with my employees too, but I push to say, okay, look, this didn't go the way that we wanted. We slipped up. We screwed up. Okay, what can we do to ensure this doesn't happen again? And it really does. My big thing is about mistakes. And I'm always telling people, look, everybody makes mistakes. It happens. That's cool. Repeated mistakes, less cool. Because you've learned nothing if you keep repeating the same mistake. So, and then it moves from mistake to could be negligence. but I don't find value in just disappointment.
So you never played Mario Kart with your kids?
I have. And funnily, I'm about to start playing it with my granddaughter.
How old is she again? 4?
5.
5.
Yeah, she just turned 5.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I smell an arranged marriage, Joe. We got a 5-year-old going 5-0. We got a Kurt. We got a 5-year-old coming up into the league. I'm just saying, podcast royalty right here.
I don't know. My 5-year-old is already juggling 3 different girls that he has told us at different times that he wants to marry. So
he takes after his daddy. Got it.
yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, there is no value in just disappointment, but what do you do with that?
So, look, I mean, there's even because the question was failure and disappointment, because those are very different things in my book.
yes.
If it's just disappointment, if the kid comes home sad about something and it's disappointed about something, whether it's something they did or something that happened to them, console, and then help find a way to move forward, whatever that is. But you got to give time to feel that disappointment. They're going to feel bad. Failure feels bad, right? Failure just feels bad. When I fail, I'm not sleeping that night probably, because I beat the crap out of myself. But then the next day, I really try to find ways so that I can ensure that never happens again.
There's never say never, you know.
No. That's what you strive for, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
You strive for that, and then if something else comes up and it's not anything you've accounted for, okay, but that's how you then learn from that, and you move and you improve on that. I mean, it just and you look at guys like Warren Buffett. He talks openly about how often he failed. Like, he just goes, man, I never would have been the success that I am if I didn't fail so much.
Well, and that's a great example in general. If you think about people who have done a lot of amazing things, you focus on the successes. And so maybe relating those stories to your kids is a great way to say, it doesn't matter how many times you fail. What people are going to remember is that you kept going, number one, and that eventually you succeeded, assuming that they have the drive to do that. My oldest, he was in Little League, and about halfway through the season, he decided he wanted to be the pitcher, to give it a try to being the pitcher. And he asked the coach, and the coach told him that he wasn't ready for it. That's probably because half the time he was out in the outfield, he didn't even have his glove on. So, that the
ball never makes it to the outfield at that age.
Well, and I told him, and I'm like, son, if you want to show the coach that you're serious, you need to play serious. If you want a chance to pitch, you need to act like it, regardless of what position you're in. You need to take it seriously. And I was like, if you want me to practice with you, because at that time he had trouble throwing the ball from outfield to one of the bases, and let alone throwing it from the pitcher's mound to across the plate to pitch it with any sort of accuracy. And so I was like, look, I will practice with you, but I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to take some hard work on your part. And so he ended up giving up on it. But all you can do is help your kid and provide opportunities. And at some point, it's up to them to take those opportunities and run with it. And so you gotta do what you can. And I think a lot of that, especially when it comes to the disappointment, is setting realistic expectations for your kids. Because in all the different sports that my kids have played, I've always been open about, I will help you get better if that's what you want. But if you want to be one of the better ones out there, it's going to take hard work. You're going to actually have to practice and put in the work. And none of them really got serious about any of the sports that they were in, which is fine. Yeah. It's a different experience in that regard. But yeah.
That seems a little bit conflicting there for me, because you're the kid who played baseball, right? You tell him be strong, be in the field, play the field, all that jazz. But then you turn around to my boy Jebediah, you want him to pick one woman. That just doesn't float, man. Come on. You can't play the field and pick one. Anyway, sorry. I manufacture. I mean, I don't have any one thing, right? I won't be a little bit funny, but it's about as close as I can get, because everything, my wife gets so tired of it, everything's a learning lesson for me. Everything's a story. Everything's a pointing out. And over the years, it lands in different ways, but the kids, you're always molding and shaping the clay, right? So more pointedly, I make them play Borderlands and for failure, and I make them play Mario Kart with me for disappointment. Because one, you teach them to get back up. You know, my son is about to be 20, and he's got a job. It ain't great. And he's actually moving to a point in his life where there's going to be some life decisions coming up for him, you know, moving in with his girlfriend or getting, proposing marriage. Who knows, right? But at least some next steps in his life. She's going to, they're only 2 years apart, so it might sound worse than it is. He's 19. She just turned 18, okay? But she's graduating high school while he's not, he's 20, about to be 20. But once she graduates, they've been dating for 2 years. Natural regression is they're going to get more serious, whatever. And his mom and I keep pushing. Like, you got to put out applications. You got to get an adult job. You got to find something, at least a second job. I mean, we're not saying quit your fast food job, but you need to have something better come along.
Yeah.
And I got to use our gaming history to help them understand that. Because, people just say, they don't write me back. It's like, you played every last Souls game that are out there. If you're unfamiliar with the Souls game, they are rogue-like, which means you die, all your crap dies with you. So you might have collected all the best armor and swords, and you died. You got to go from wherever you saved it, which is rare that you get to save, and trek back to get your stuff. And if you can make it there, right? He loves those games. So I'm like, dude, one that we played together not that long ago, Lies of P, which is a Pinocchio universe-based kind of Souls game. Interestingly enough, I never made it past the game is interesting and graphically beautiful and it's fun. Never made it past the first boss because it's just not my style of game. But I kept trying. I was like, okay, this is too much of a grind for me. But he did. He kept going on. I was like, dude, how many times did you not have to fight that boss and you just kept hitting it till you went on? That's putting out the resume. The grinding the 3,000 hours is 3,000 resumes, man. So that's basically what I do. Because I say Mario Kart because I always tell them that's the one game I'm not going to take it easy on you. You got to earn this win. And because I'm going to teach you that winning's not everything. But I guess the other bigger thing for disappointment is experience. We teach them to focus on the experience. And if it did not go the way you thought it would or should, you still took something from it, hopefully positive. So we've always pushed away from the everybody on my team sucks, because my son plays baseball too, to what can you do? You can't make them
Right.
not suck. You can't change their bad attitudes. You can just have a better attitude, and you can do better. And there are plenty of games where he's the only one that got the cool out, you know, instead of the, I mean, he was only 10 or 11 at a time. So there's a lot of easy outs. He got like the cool one where he tagged him and he got to hit and go around the bases because he started focusing on that positive, and that's it. And John says here, learn from your mistakes. My grandfather always says, strive for excellence. My thing is, I learned this from an old paramedic who was talking about, he had been in the field at that time, 15, 16 years. I was fairly new to the field. And he was relaying a story of his partner who had been in the field about as long and didn't like his leadership, didn't like how he's doing things. He's like, oh yeah, well, I've got 16 years experience too. He goes, yeah, well, obviously wasn't a learning experience. And I just always took that as learn from everything, because Kurt, I think you said the failure thing, over and over, it's just about getting up. I think, Jay, you might reference it, but it's not just about getting up. If you don't learn about why you failed, you're just going to keep doing it until you do give up.
Well, but worse, it's a wasted opportunity. Yeah. Every failure, every mistake is an opportunity to get better.
And you will always learn something. Sometimes you just internalize what you perceive as a truth of I'm a failure. Random Kid said, and we're all saying it. We're all saying that. We're not saying the person.
Right.
Because I think that's a key difference. Random Kid says, it's only a failure if you give up. If you keep going, it's a learning experience. And thank you. It took only an hour into the show for you to comment on something. You're such a disappointment, Random Kid. I'm a failure as a digital
Haven't you learned anything, Random Kid?
All right. 50-50 shot. What do we got? Roll some dice.
All right. Looking for a 4 or a 6?
Looks
We
like
got
a 4 to me.
double 4s.
What is going? Joe, we need to go play the craps table, man. Tonight you're on fire.
Council of Dads.
Except I hate ending the show on bad dad jokes. I really do. But that's how the dice fell tonight. Okay.
He said Council of Dads.
This is not the last segment. All right. So, hey, look, hold on, Joe. Kirk, come here. So the show has 6 segments, and we just did segment number 5. We're in the Parliament of Papa, so we got another bad dad joke. All right, so get your dad jokes ready, okay? All right, cool. No. All right, don't embarrass me in front of Joe. That's so cool. All right, Parliament of Papas. This is from Tyler, who in our Parliament group on Discord asked us to address this as how should I handle it when my wife sends her son to his biological father's house knowing he doesn't provide the proper environment for the child. I'm going to shorthand the context, but the context is there's some special needs and dietary needs and those kind of things for nutrition. So they really have worked with the child. They then prepped meals and got things ready and made it as easy as they could to continue that line of care to help follow the kid through, right? They didn't just say, hey, you got to do this, figure it out. They made all the prep, and then it basically didn't matter.
Well, and they consulted professionals. They had doctor recommendations for what they were trying to accomplish. So it's not just a willy-nilly, hey, we're doing this.
And his child is high-functioning autistic, and so that's key to the story, I think, here. And nutrition can help. So it's not just we don't want our kid eating wheat. It is you can not want your kid eating anything. I'm sorry I made fun of that. But it is very much hey, this is going to help things and help our child. And then Biodad didn't give a crap. So, gents, what's our advice as Parliament? How do we handle it? Because he's also stepdad, Tyler's stepdad in this situation, right? Obviously, because Biodad is at the other house. So, it's a tough position to be in.
The first thing that I would do is document. Document what happened. Document what the doctor's instructions were. Because I don't know what his situation is, but having stuff like that documented, if there was ever any custody issues or things like that, having that documented goes a long way. I realize that doesn't do anything to solve the actual issue with the parent or the child, but that would be my first advice. Document it.
Kurt?
Couple of thoughts. The first one is, because I remember reading this in the Discord as well. The first thing is his wife is the biological mother, correct?
Yes.
I would suggest only communicating with the biological father.
Because it is mentioned that was texted to the
so that's part of it. The other part is from the program that was provided by the doctor. Was a copy of that actually sent to the biologicals or the biological father, or was it just, hey, we talked to a doctor, here's what the doctor recommended, please follow? Because it makes a little bit of a difference. It gives a little bit more weight to the instructions, right? But then also, what wasn't clear to me is she spent all day yesterday prepping meals, organizing charts, and creating a detailed plan. And were the meals actually sent with the kid, or was it, here are the recipes we recommend?
I mean, my interpretation was they prep the meals boxed. I mean, when I hear meal prepping,
me too. But
it can
wasn't,
also be meal planning.
Right, and that's why it wasn't 100% clear. Sure. I think if you are sending meals with the kid and they're still ignoring them, that's a problem. But here is, in my opinion, the biggest issue. Divorces with shared custody stink, because these things happen and there's usually very little you can do without going to court. And
that's why I said the first thing I would do is document.
Right. So, and even that may not solve it. Like, that's the other part of that, right? It could get super ugly.
I was going to go. I am going to go with the humans are trash and you can only influence what you can influence answer, which is one, trust yourself, trust your God, trust your universe, whatever you believe in, and know that 1 to 2 days of disruption can be fixed. Secondly, because being a paramedic for almost 30 years, autism has been around for a very, very, very long time. And only in the last 20, 30, 40 years have we started really recognizing and diagnosing it as anything other than what we'd call slow or low mental capacities, those kind of things, right? That means, I say that to say, people have made it through life not even knowing how to help with these things. It will be okay. Because it does sound like the sun stays there more often than at bio dad's house. It means you're going to have more healthier influence on it, right? Yes, to do all the work, make it easy. Send the meals, send the prep, send the doctor's note. Yes, all of that. But also know they got divorced for a reason. Don't know what it is. Right. Don't know how it matters.
Well,
right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So because of what you just said, one thing that just occurred to me was another tact might be to talk with the son. He's high functioning, right? So he has an ability to reason and to communicate. And if he's high functioning, at least based on the only thing that I know is that's usually a social issue more than anything else, right?
Yeah.
And so what might be valuable is to prep the kid and say, look, we did all this planning, we're sending these with you, but just understand when you go visit dad, it may be different this weekend, but that's okay because you'll come back to the plan. You'll come back, right, and it'll be okay. And just, I understand it's going to be upsetting, but you're very strong. You can do this. Whatever happens for a couple of days, you're going to be good. And when you come back, we'll get right back to normal. And maybe just something like that would help at least control what you can control.
Yeah,
right?
well, and influence what, yeah, exactly. Influence
Right.
what you can influence. And that's the thing. It depends on how much it throws it off, because if it is actually detrimental to the kid's health, you can get, I don't know the situation with
Right.
Biodad. It could be hell on earth. It could be fine. They just didn't give a crap about this thing. Who knows? Yeah, the result was this thing didn't happen. I do know, as a parent and as somebody in medicine, we put a lot of extra weight on doctor stuff instead of trusting our instincts and watching what's happening. So, okay, I do see an improvement. Just because I see an improvement doesn't mean if they miss one day, it's all gone away, right?
Right.
We kind of, in medicine, I've just seen this happen over and over again. We just kind of say, oh, if we don't do this one thing forever, it'll be the end of the world. And, okay, sometimes it is. If you are feeling balanced because you're taking your mood balancing medication, and then you stop taking it, well, the next day you're going to feel fine. Next day but eventually you're not going to feel fine, right? So that can happen. You know, yeah, I get all of that without the details we're having, but ultimately, if it actually throws the kid way back or makes the child worse in whatever development they're trying to go through, you have to relay that to the doctor.
Yeah.
Possibly get dad more involved at the doctor's office. Then at some point, unfortunately, you may have to go deal with this in court.
Yep.
But I think for the most part, just pay attention to the effect it has, because it does sound like, from what you did tell us, that the kid stays with you guys more, which means you'll be able to do the meal plan a lot more than he goes without the meal plan. And just pay attention.
And it's really hard because we really don't know anything.
Right.
Like,
But,
I mean,
I know, but I think the key is, as best you can, make it about the kid. That's the success I've had at work. When, I mean, every adult thinks they have something to say. And we always feel like whenever you're saying something, it's a give or take, right? I'm getting mad. Why are you saying that? So as adults, we kind of fight. But my success has been, like in this case, it's not I, the ex-wife, and telling you what to do. It's our son needs this. Everything is our son. Not I want you to do it. Not I did. Not I learned. You take the I out of it. You take the we out of it, and just say our son. Our son. Because at work, it's not our son. It's our patient. You know, we move.
Yeah.
Every time I said, yeah, no, you can be upset that I'm telling you have to come to work, but we move patients, and our patients will pass away if we don't do this. And it's hard to argue with that, right?
yeah.
You love your son. You want to see your son. Our son needs this.
The other thing that kind of makes this a little difficult too is often with situations like this, particularly with a special needs kid and new parents, you know, because you got the biologicals plus their spouses now.
Yep.
There's sometimes, and I'm not even saying this is the case because we don't know, but sometimes there's some animosity that's just built in.
And their default mode is to reject any suggestions.
Yeah.
And just see, like, it may not be affecting the kid as much as their filter makes it seem. But we don't know. We don't know. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for us without knowing way more.
Yeah.
Because everybody's different. Everybody's individual.
Absolutely. And if you said he was deeper on the spectrum to where things trigger him, well, that's an instant response. If he's high functioning, dad may never see the results of it, right? Dad may go, well, you're full of crap. I fed him pizza all weekend long, and he's fine. Yeah. And then on school on Monday, he's not fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
right.
You know,
Right.
you
Right.
see those, but for Tyler. I always want to say Taylor. That's why I say the full run through most of the time. Because like Tyler. I just say full run through. But the harder part is, as the second husband, all you can do is listen to your wife, let her vent, because that's what women want most, is not for us to solve the problem, but to let them talk to us and validate the emotion of it and the validity of it. And
it's not about the nail.
Ideas. Yeah. You know, stupid. But there's not a whole lot you can do.
Right.
You know, you can't.
It's hard.
It is. I mean, my parents never separated, But my father has his wife, and that's a relationship, and he has his son, and that's a relationship. But I have a whole different relationship with my mother, right? He sees her differently than I see her, kind of thing. And that's just, and so when you add the extra layers of divorce, and it's tricky, but all you really can do is say, hey, while he's here, we will do everything we can. And I'm here to help you. Because the reality is you cannot until the law steps in, which takes a long time. Even if you go to court on it and the judge says, yeah, do this, you still have to catch him not doing it and enforce. I mean, it's a long time. It's a mess. So until that becomes messy, there's nothing you can do to change what happens outside here. The school cannot follow the program. And then when you find out, you just get mad and they get fired or something happens, but you still can't change it. You can only affect what you can affect. And I have found some success with my wife that way too, going, hey, listen to you, validate, short version, good feelings. You're right to feel that way. And hey, we can still just do what we do here, and you can have BioDad listen to wise_in_nerdy, and we will tell him what to do. And he'll be fans of ours, and then he'll listen, and they're like, hey, dummy, follow the food plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Parliament of Papas, validated.
Just like your parking.
Yeah. Kurt, let's send Kurt the gavel STL. We need this gavel. We needed it this weekend. I need to hammer my gavel when we do Parliament of Papas. We found a great STL for one.
Yep.
So,
yep.
right.
I can definitely find one.
So before you hit that last and final, but I thought about just doing this and going, hey, it's been a great show. I'll let you have your moment. Because what we decided to pronounce Sagamore cast strength rye, Sagamore cast strength rye. I'm finding that I like a rye-based whiskey more than I actually like some scotches, interestingly enough. So very good. So I am actually at the bottom of my glass, sir, and ready for your bad dad jokes.
Well, this one comes to us from Devocite. He sent it in over Discord just before we started recording.
What do you call a dollhouse on fire? A barbecue.
Oh, that's so dark. I love it. Okay. That one. Okay. Round of applause for Dio. We got me to laugh at one. That was that barely qualified as a dad joke. I mean, it did, but it was my kind of bad dad joke. So good. Well done. Great end to 2024. Too late, you did it a month later. Too bad you did it a month later. I get it.
Oh man. I was gonna say one, but I think we'll just leave it at that, and we're good. We're good.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
All right, Daddy-O's, this is a place where you can come to be yourself, talk about your kids, ask advice, share advice, tell your stories, and love what you love and be who you are. So come on back next week and bring some more of your broskies with you. I don't know.
Follow these nerdy dads on social media. Charles at Rock God of Podcast.
Don't shake your head. I did not see a file. There was no file for outro.
It was one long file. All the audio was in there for all the segments and the intro and the outro.
Somebody over there must have cut it. Because I went looking a couple weeks ago. I have a Kurt intro, which was what we played, that nice little short one, and some other little buttons, but no outro. So I cannot hear you. Thank you, Mike.
Follow these nerdy dads on social media. Charles at Rock God of Podcasting. Joe at Joseph_Ard. Check out the website, wiseandnerdy.com. And as always, they may not be your father, but they'll always be your daddy.
VO by Kurt everywhere.
We
Shut
have
up,
to
Mike.
use no. We have to use his outro or he'll stroke out.
That's true, random kid. 3D by Kurt somewhere.